Welcome back to Limitless Talks with your girl, Sierra Rainge. This is a culture-driven show where leaders, creators, and boundary shifters unpack not just what they've built, but how they became the person capable of building it. We don't just settle for surface-level inspiration. We explore identity, resilience, emotional intelligence, and the deeper mechanics of success. Today's guest is a strategist helping high achievers unlock a part of performance that many overlook: the emotional connection, relationship intelligence, and internal regulation as a foundation for leadership. Ludmila is a relationship and high performance strategist who helps leaders create deeply connected relationships. She helps them build emotional safety and bring harmony to life, love, and leadership. Her work bridges emotional intelligence with identity-driven performance and helps powerful people align their internal connection with their external success. Ludmila, welcome to Limitless Talks.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. And excited.
I'm so happy to have you. So how have you been?
Oh, wonderful. On the drive here, I had clients call me and say how amazing their dating is going right now.
Ooh.
I know, because they've learned what they need to learn, and now they can be the women that are deeply loved and women who effortless.
I love it.
Who doesn't want that?
I love it. So let's get right into it. So I want to talk about what it means to be deeply connected, right? Because we're all just so triggered. Like, I can't tell you, like, I'm one of those people saying, can we cancel podcast equipment? Because if I get online one more time and I hear all this information about relationships and what men want and what men don't want and high value women, like, can everybody just chill? Like, is everybody okay? I want to hear from an expert. How do we manage our triggers and how do we become more emotionally regulated so that we can have harmony in our relationships?
Yeah, so first of all, I don't think everybody's well.
We are not okay.
And not everybody should have a microphone. You know, we can agree on this. There is so much that goes into being a deeply connected person. I think I can almost bet that most people that are in relationships aren't even emotionally present or emotionally connected to themselves.
Yeah.
When we speak of emotional intimacy, when we hear a word intimacy, we think always, you know, the first thought goes to physical attraction and physical touch and so forth. But intimacy is into me, I see, right? Into me, I see.
Okay.
Okay. How well do I know myself? How well do I know my triggers? How well do I know my needs, my desires, my boundaries? Do I express them? Am I really fluent and masterful in my emotional, you know, state of being? And
So here's the thing though, because we can know our triggers and know our needs. But I think there's another current, right? If we have the capacity to express them to our partners, do we feel safe enough to speak up and advocate for our needs? Isn't that a part of emotional regulation?
Oh, it is.
What hinders that?
Well, it is. The emotional safety is very important. And when we speak of love languages, a lot of people, you know, have those popular quotes, you know, gifting gifts and attention. Yes, acts of service. You know, I always say, like, acts of service. I can be so dysregulated and I will do for you. And then you still feel triggered or unsafe with me. So emotional safety comes from self and co-regulation. Most of us grew up with parents that did their best, but we learn co-regulation from our parents. What does that mean? If I have any type of emotional response, are my parents consistent? Are they safe? Can they support me? Am I accepted with all my emotions, or am I accepted based on performance? Growing up, there are so many elements that go into that. So if I felt I had to minimalize my voice or I had to be someone I am not to belong and still be loved, then we do it. You know, we just perform as adults in the same...
That is deep.
Yeah.
To be loved. Oh my gosh. So when I hear that, it reminds me, even a part of my own journey when I felt like I had to perform to receive love. And you said something so profound, because it means that we're disconnected from ourselves.
First.
So let's go a little bit deeper there.
Yeah.
How do we step out of performance into deep connection?
So first you need to notice I'm disconnected and I'm in performance. So yesterday I had a call with a male client whose net worth is $100 million. And the first thing he says to me on the call, my relationships are non-existent, or they're very, they're very superficial. And I want deeper connection. I worked so hard to get here.
Yeah.
And when I asked him, so let's just work less, let's do 50 hours a week instead of 100 hours. And the first thought that came up for him was, but then I'm not good enough. I'm trying to prove something here. I'm trying to prove my worth. I'm trying to prove that I belong. So first of all, you need to notice, I am in this performance behavior and state, right?
So how do we recognize that? So for him, it was after speaking with you and you kind of pointed it out to him. But for leaders and high achievers out there, how do they recognize when they are in performance? Because a huge part of our work as leaders and high achievers, it's performing.
Correct.
So how do we know when we are performing emotionally and if that's impacting our ability to connect deeply with others?
Well, your relationships will suffer. So he found me because his most intimate relationship was suffering.
Okay.
And his partner said, if you don't do anything about this, we will be done. So that's, your relationships will suffer if you are constantly performing and working and you don't have a breather, or you don't have time to really look at your partner and ask, how are you doing?
Yeah.
What is happening for you? And really be present. We are not present.
Present.
We are not present.
And the emotional availability.
First you need to be present, and then you have to feel safe. There's so many aspects as we talk about this. So most people come to me when something goes wrong, unfortunately.
So
Otherwise,
they're in crisis.
Or in crisis, or my people are highly functioning, but there is a problem, meaning I'm burned out, or, as I say, my wife or my husband are going to leave, something is not going really well, or I have issues with my children, or my employees, or my business partner, because every relationship starts with you.
Yeah.
Correct? So when we talk about relationships, it's not only your most intimate relationships, it's also how do you choose your business partners? How do you communicate your boundaries?
That's good.
How safe do you feel with expressing, this is a no for me, right? When it comes
How
to
do we get to that place of safety?
Well, so first of all, what is safety? Emotional safety is I know what I want and what I think and what I desire, and then the person in front of me, is it a safe person to communicate with? Number one, safe meaning if I communicate a boundary or a preference or a pain point or a desire, does this person hold space for me? Can they understand? Even if they don't relate, can they hold the space for me? Can we have a conversation? Do I feel seen and heard and supported and received? Or do they start fighting me or tell me that I'm ridiculous, right? Like, this is ridiculous. Why would you want this? This doesn't make any sense. So they can gaslight you. This is lack of emotional safety in many relationships. A lot of people don't know how to navigate conflict, difference in preferences or desires. Everybody thinks if we are married, we have to agree on everything. That's not the real life. In every marriage, you need to find a way that maybe you disagree on some things and you can still be respectful and loving with each other. So
that's good. So having, specifically with marriage, right?
Yes.
Because we have hard conversations.
Not many people have hard conversations. They think they do.
Because they're afraid that we're unable to have a hard conversation and stay in love and stay deeply connected. But I think what you said is true. It goes back to safety. Is my partner safe? And do I feel safe within myself?
Correct. And do I feel comfortable with who I am? Do I feel comfortable and accepting of who I am? It comes really to your self-identity. So when I look at high performers or any human being, we look at the world and we experience the world through three lenses, I would say. The relationship I have with myself, how I see myself. Am I enough? Am I lovable? Do I belong? Then relationship with other people. How am I perceived by other people, right? What will they think of me if I share myself? And then the third aspect is the world. Is the world a safe space, or is the world a dangerous place? Am I supported? Can I have what I want? Or it's not available for me?
That one gets tricky, right? Because when it comes to the world, that's so out of our control. Because the world right now, and a lot of people, is not so safe, right? So how do I stay emotionally regulated in a world that's not safe, when there is no safety?
Okay, so I come from Poland. So I lived for 9 years under communism. So we had Russian army on the streets. I lost my dad when I was 9, another family member very young as well. So it's not that we can change the world, but we can change how we respond to what's happening. For example, when the war in Ukraine started, that was very triggering for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm from there, my grandfather was from there. And I allowed myself to grieve. I allowed myself to feel what I needed to feel. I cried a lot, I processed a lot. But I also decided, how do I want to go through this experience? I can be completely victimized in it.
Yeah.
I can. Or I can allow myself to just be with the truth, what it means for me or for my family, and then decide, how do I go about this?
Yeah. I like that you said I chose. Because
chose.
even in those moments, we always have agency and we always have a choice.
That's one thing you always have. If you understand, you have it.
Yeah.
If you take, I always say, if you take radical responsibility for yourself and your life, nobody can take it away from you. Nobody
Radical
can take it.
responsibility.
Radical responsibility, which gives you agency, correct? So the world will be changing, political parties will be changing. You have not much influence on that, but what you have influence on, how do I think about the world, even if it's unwell, right?
Very unwell.
Let's say, how can I provide safety for myself, my family, my friends? What is the biggest step forward I can still create in the lane that I'm in? Like for me, it was when I was grieving a lot. I was allowing myself to grieve, but I was also thinking, what I can do, what can I do? And for me, it was keep working because my clients need me, but also I can use this money to support an orphanage in Ukraine. And that's what I did. So I allowed myself to feel my feelings, and then I got to work. And with my work, I decided this is how I want to do it. Instead of completely, falling apart and not working at all. And then if somebody needs me, I am unavailable to support. So I think the agency, I think we forget because the world is overwhelming. We have access to so much news and so much negativity. And I think it takes a really strong commitment to the life you want to experience, to the relationships you want to experience, and how you want to feel on a daily basis. So I decided a long time ago that I will not allow anything to impact my inner peace long term. Are there moments that trigger me? Of course, of course. But I get to decide what I do with that. I get to decide how I teach my children. I get to decide. I teach my children that they get to decide, and we can still get to work, and we can still come to our communities, and we can still support. But I will never allow anyone to victimize me.
Yes, I love that. So there's choice. And I love how in that moment you recognize how you wanted to show up, and you recognize that your support was going to be a demonstration of your ability to offer solutions, which means if we offer in solutions, we need money.
Correct.
We need coins.
Money. We need coins.
It's one thing.
The real ones.
The real ones, the real bag, all full abundance, no scarcity, right? But I can't imagine, because I've done it plenty of times, showing up in a room and lending support and lending inspiration and lending motivation and not being able to back that with real support that's going to really push change. Because the words they're helpful, they touch our hearts, they inspire our minds, but a lot of times we need real capital in order to really disrupt some of these patterns and pathology of poverty. So when you work with these high achievers, I want you to share more with our audience about the impact of being dysregulated and how that impacts our money and why it's important to be deeply connected
and regulated.
And regulated in order to see an increase in revenue.
Because my clients are already very successful. They've already created a lot of wealth. So 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures. But there is a caveat, as we know, when we are dysregulated and we come from lack and scarcity, and I say we can operate in scarcity and lack or abundance, love and trust. We get to choose. There are 2 states of being. Well, we can add the third when we are completely disconnected and disassociated. But most of us, we are or in lack and scarcity and fear, or abundance, love and trust. That's it. Like really look how you make decisions and you will notice that. A lot of high performers, even though they created a lot of wealth, they come from trauma, which is connected to money. They didn't have money growing up.
Let's talk about that. Because there are people who have been able to acquire massive success who come from trauma. And so
a lot of people.
A lot of people, right? So while they have learned how to push through, and it's taught them how to generate a certain level of success in their lives, they still haven't managed to regulate emotionally. So I want to talk about getting to that next level. and breaking through your upper level, because I'm of the belief that how we survived allowed us to kind of get through poverty.
Yes.
But getting to that next level, 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures, that abundance that we talk about so often, it requires us to show up very differently emotionally.
Well, I will tell you this, a lot of people create, my clients, a lot of people create external success without internal fulfillment. Right? So as you say, we can get to 9 figures and push. I have clients like that. They just push and push and push, and they end up with me because they say, my wife wants to leave me. I don't know what happened.
But they have the wealth.
You don't, but they have all the money. You don't know what happened, because your adaptation in childhood was, nobody's there to support me and I need to survive. So I will go and get what I need, which is, we all need money and financial, access, security to survive. Let's not be foolish. So they create this wealth and they think, by the time I get to, and I had clients, 1 million, 5 million, 20 million, I will feel safe. It doesn't happen, because the money by itself, if you are still in this regulation and fear, doesn't heal you.
How do we get both? How do we get both? I want.
Oh, you can get both. You can. All my clients get both.
Yeah.
But it will require something very new. It will require a very new approach, right? A new approach, meaning your success doesn't have to cost your marriage. Your success doesn't have to cost your fulfillment and joy and pleasure. Success doesn't mean you have to suffer every single day. You hear it very often. You have to push and suffer and suffer. Suffering is optional. Suffering is optional. And when you are disconnected from yourself, tell me, how do you connect to people in front of you? When I'm checked out with myself and I don't know what's happening inside of me, how can I look at my wife or my children and be present? I will be annoyed. I will be short-tempered. I will not care.
Yeah, and then I think also there's a lack of emotional availability, which impacts the into me I see, right?
Correct.
So let's talk about sex, right? High achievers, maintaining marriage, multiplying money, and not being able to connect deeply.
Yeah. Sometimes sex is easier than emotional connection. Sometimes it's easier for people to take the clothes off than be seen with clothes on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because that part, the physical parts,
for some people, yes.
Well, but for women though, it's a thinking
for
thing
women. For women, I will tell you what it is. I always say how women. Everybody says men and women are the same. We are not the same. When I talk to men, and if they are in an argument with their wife, they can still be sexually active with a wife. If a wife is mad with her husband, please forget this. So we always laugh, because the men come to my session and say, she's still angry. I can't touch her. And I say, sir, what have you done to make her feel like she's heard and she's seen? And
Goes back to that safety.
Safety again, we need to be seen and heard, and this is, we need to understand. And men also find a lot of emotional connection in sex. It's nothing's wrong with that, but we need to learn. We're a little bit different. Women love sex, but first we need to feel safe and connected, nurtured, cared for, desired, all the things. If I feel disrespected, if you don't take things off my plate, if you don't ask how I'm doing, and then you want to have sex with me, this is where you're going to have a problem. And for men, that's what I hear from women. Men are misunderstood because women think, oh, they just want sex. Which, yes, but also that's the only place where men can feel very often.
So what does it take for man and woman to get on the same page?
Well, first of all, there has to be willingness to learn. And stop comparing and judging. I don't take sides. I will never blame the man and I will never blame the woman. What I do is I look at the patterns and I said, honey, this is you, this is him. This is your side of street, this is his side of street. There's nobody to blame. Both of you are behaving in ways that create disconnection. Both of you are putting up with things that are not okay. Both of you are not choosing to change something. So it takes two people, let's say we are dancing tango, right? And a client hires me and she says, my husband doesn't want to do any coaching. And I said, that's fine. I just need you. Okay? So they've been dancing tango, meaning they know each other's moves. This is how we dance. And then she starts dancing cha-cha or salsa. Now he has an option. He's going to join her or he's going to stay there with the tango, So for many, really,
then that's the disconnection then.
That if he doesn't move, then yes, that becomes a problem. And sometimes some men really need to get to that point, because I had clients where the wife started working with me and the man, after 6 sessions of the wife come to me and I say, so why are you here, sir? And he goes, well, my wife said if I don't do anything, then she's not angry. And that's the worst position to be in.
That's apathy.
That's
means
like,
she
I
is
don't
checking
care anymore.
out.
Correct.
Woo!
I'm checked out.
He's in the
because
danger
women are
zone.
very patient. Women are very patient.
Yeah.
We are very patient. We are nurturers. So when a woman says, hey, I'm not angry anymore, we can go separate ways. You can do you, I do me and the kids, whatever we need to figure out. I'm not angry. You don't have to change for me. That's where the men know they have to move or we are done.
Yeah.
So sometimes we get to this point, we are so comfortable with being miserable sometimes. We think this is normal. You look around at people and everybody's drinking because they have kids. Everybody complains about their husband. I never complain about my husband.
Well, you got a really good one.
I have a great one.
He's amazing.
Because you need to know how to choose.
Let's talk about choosing. Choosing better, right? Let's talk about that.
Choosing better. You need to become better to choose better.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you need to become better to choose
better.
So you believe that you attract the guy.
You attract a mirror.
Ooh.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Yes.
Yes. All your triggers and all your unhealed parts will attract a partner that will trigger them. And
but that's the thing with relationships. Like you can feel so regulated.
Yeah.
But I think relationships, I've witnessed I know how relationships like tap dance on all of your wounds.
Of course they do.
And you're just so triggered. And it's like, I thought I was regulated.
No. So if you had, for example, I have a lot of female clients who are very accomplished and they had emotionally unavailable fathers. So physically they're, financially they're, emotionally not there.
Childhood again.
There we go.
Yeah.
And so let's guess, who are those women going to date?
Emotionally unavailable men.
Correct. Men that look successful on the paper, who are intelligent and ambitious and physically there, unable to meet you emotionally.
Do you think at that point then the women become attracted to the chase or addicted to the chase?
No, what we are, it's not even addiction. It's like our nervous system and brain are used to these patterns that feel familiar. When we say red flags feel like home, that's exactly what it means. This is familiar. I've been there before, growing up. And subconsciously what we do, what's very interesting, we consciously don't understand. We enter that relationship thinking we will change it. Meaning, I will finally feel loved by this man. Which subconsciously I think is going to heal my whole childhood. Never happens.
Insanity.
Never happens. You need to become emotionally connected to yourself. So women who had fathers or mothers emotionally disconnected, you learn how to disassociate from parts of yourself too.
Yeah.
Because most of those fathers say, don't be weak, don't show emotion, don't cry. What are you? Perform. So you learn how to perform, but you don't learn how to feel.
You learn how to perform, but you don't learn
How to feel.
That's so good. And you help high achievers and high performers. What is the one thing that you would leave them with? If they wanted to become more deeply connected with themselves, with their partners, with their team, with their children, in order to have a greater level of success?
I would say it starts with you, number one. There's nothing wrong with you. You make sense. You all make sense. We all make sense. We were created by our circumstances, so here we are.
Yeah.
And secondly, I want you to know that when you finally are open to feeling discomfort of meeting yourself and all the parts of you that you buried and don't want to look at, you can have the beautiful love, deep connection with your children, because your children also mirror your inner child.
Yes.
Correct? So there we go. It becomes so easy to be around people and read people and be more open when you heal the fear of being hurt, the fear of not belonging.
Yeah.
So I would say this is the most important work, because when you learn that money is safe, that money supports you, men are safe, women are safe, I am safe with myself.
Yes.
I belong and I don't have to be perfect.
Yes.
I always find that that's most important work you should be spending time with and investing in, because if you are checked out, you are not really living. You are pretending you are living.
And performing.
And performing all the time. And what comes with the performance? I have to be perfect. You can never meet perfection. So when you are missing the mark, then shame comes in, blame comes in, guilt comes in. And when you stay in that emotional state, the love is not present. Love is not present. So I always say, when you can fall deeply in love with yourself first, know all your weaknesses and be really loving and compassionate with yourself,
Yeah.
while being open to how can I transform that so I am a better father, I am a better leader, I am a better brother or a son. A lot of my clients heal relationships with their parents as well.
Yeah.
You experience internal freedom that nobody can take away from you. And I think that is so much more precious than anything external.
Yeah.
By the way, that freedom helps you to create more of the external desires you want with more ease.
I love it. So where can our guests find you and stay connected with you?
Yeah, stay connected.
Yes.
You can find me on LinkedIn, on social media. I have a podcast, Deeply Connected, and we are also working on a book together.
Yay!
So I can't wait for that.
So stay tuned. It'll be a bestseller, of course.
Of course.
So stay tuned. Thank you so much, Ludmila.
Thank you for having me.
I love you. Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
And this is another episode of Limitless Talks.